Good morning, This is Pixie, and I'm doing another video. So there's a couple of things. I think I talked about some simulators. I wasn't too sure what was going on there and so on. There are some orbs, large orbs around the sun. It makes you wonder what the sun actually is, because it's a bit confusing. I don't think it's just one big fireball. It would probably just blown up if that was true. So is it a portal to somewhere? And then there's other things that impact on that. With the coronal holes, what are they? I mean, my understanding is they're like the magnetic side, like two sides of the coin. So the outer shell, you see the electric, but what's inside is the magnetic. So it is like a big quantum type portal. It's just huge, isn't it? So and it seems to be possibly animates all the matter we've got around us. That's why most things are close to in a solar system rather than just free-wheeled floating through space. But they might not be. Maybe they are, or like I say, it's another dimension. It's a complicated one, and so the information I've got is that these orbs seen around it, some people say in Nibiru and stuff like that, they're actually like capacitors, or they act in this way that they can absorb some of the charge. So if you get a solar discharge from it, they absorb that. But I don't know if they're from the sun or another beings put them there, so they don't. I mean, if the sun goes into some sort of special different phase, and it could be because of massive planetoids moving around the solar system and changing everything, that what it doesn't do is wreck everything in the process. So that's the main thing. So it gives some kind of way to protect the sun and the planets. But there are some of these weird orbs, giant orbs around, and it's just another level of reality that's out there, really. Another experience I've had is implants, and I thought about them for a while. I thought these things exist, and then I started hearing these weird beeping in my body. So it was in my brain, and I was thinking, it's 5 or 6 in the morning. Okay, if I were to imagine or make something up in my head, because I'm in this hypnagogic state, I'm just coming out of the dream state and then back into sort of a different consciousness. Why would I choose a bleep noise that doesn't correspond with any technology in my flat? And it's happened on a couple of occasions. Slightly different bleeps in my head, in different places in my head. So one's probably right in the neocortex, and something, it may even be in my eardrum or something. And a couple of days ago, I woke up and I heard a beep from my heart. It's very strange. And there's no devices under my bed or anything. There's nothing there electrical that could make a noise. So what's created this noise? Either I've fantasized about it, but I haven't really got any. There's no triggers. You know, a bit like dreams. In dreams, you'd have. If you dream about something, it may correspond to something that happened earlier in the day. So, you know, like if you see an old friend in your dream, maybe it's talking about the friends you used to know or something with somebody. I remember once I just really turned my mother's conversation I had with her into a story, and replayed it in a dream, and I thought how sort of surreal it was and abstract. So yeah, it's very strange. So I don't know what these implants are about. I don't fully understand. I'd like to. I'd like the information on them, or I'd like to be able to communicate with the entities that have popped them in there. I can't think of any government thing where I've had like a vaccination, or I've had some medical stuff. I mean, I did have some teeth removed a while back, and that was quite strange because as a young lad, I was about 17, 18. I basically still had some baby teeth. That's what they told me. So they had to remove some teeth, and they removed 6 teeth out of my mouth. They're only going to remove 4, but they decided to take an extra 2 out, I think. And and what had happened, it was going to be a male surgeon, and they switched it for a woman. And when I woke up, I felt this, like my ribs were all like something gave me a good kicking. And I realised it was because she literally kneeled on top of my chest and yanked them out. But I don't know if anything else had happened because I was unconscious. You know, it's just one of these things. I woke up, it felt a bit odd. I felt like, I don't know, my gown had been brushed to one side. I wonder if I had been molested or something. I was unconscious. I don't know, it just felt a bit weird when I woke up. I felt a bit vulnerable. And then the only other time with, say, maybe ET stuff is that I had, I was in Wales, so it might be a human collaboration thing. Is that I was on a trip with a bunch of school children, and we stayed in a place, and the other children said there was lights outside in the night, and I turned around and was shouting it's aliens. But I don't have any recollection of that ever happening, so I just thought they just made it up and you know, made me look like a fool or something in a school, basically, which I thought was a bit stupid. I don't know why it was lights. They admitted there was some lights outside though, so you know, that's probably one of the weird things. There was a time I found myself the opposite way around in my bed, and somebody had made the bed and made the sheet so tight that I could barely get my arms out to get myself out of it, which seems a bit weird because you know, I did have brothers that was in the room at the same time. They could have played a prank on me and spun me around 360 and then tuck the covers in as tight as possible. But I can't see why they would have done that. And plus, they would have let up after a while. They would have just turned around and said, you know, how was your night's sleep? Or they would have done something to admit they'd done it, but they didn't. So it was just very strange. And because I sort of woke up, well, what's happened here? And then when I got up, I looked at the covers, and it was like I had this thick purple blanket I used to have, and that was all down the other end as well. And even the pillow, I think the pillow had been put in the other places where everything was really neat. And that's another strange feature. Somebody neatly made it, but they made it wrong. They just put the thing as tight as they could on me, like it was being restrained. That was a strange thing. But there's always been entities around. I remember when I was a little boy, used to have, you know, like you'd hear things creaking, especially when people leave. There's only one person in the house. You'd hear things moving around or creak upstairs, and there was cats in the as well, but they weren't upstairs at the time these noises occurred, so it was all a bit odd. And somebody could say, oh, it's like convection or heat changes. Possibly it could be, but it seems weird, the pattern of the creaks. So it was like, okay, it sounds like there's somebody moving around slowly upstairs, and so there's sort of odd things. But the implants are fairly new. I don't know ins and outs of it, or how easy it is. I mean, there was a couple of odd occasions I found my flat door, it was open, and I thought, well, I would have bloody locked it, I wouldn't have left it open, because I could push it open. So I thought maybe my neighbour had broken in, but maybe it was a government thing. I mean, some of my family have been involved with the RAF and engineering and other projects, and I've got an uncle who's involved with NATO, but I don't think it's anything particularly special. However, it's likely the family's always been monitored by government agencies as a result of that, just to see if he shares any information, really. So yeah. Anyway, this is Pigsy signing off, and speak to you soon.